What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great day. It is a blistering hot 34 degrees out. I thought I'd go work on the truck. Put the snowplow back in storage. What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are having a great day once again, wherever you're at in this awesome world. So I'm going to jump right into it. Instead of going underneath the truck with bad lighting and getting my microphone all dirty with the grease underneath there, I drew something out, and I'm kind of going to walk through the process of what I'm going to be doing here in the next couple of videos. Well, I'll just show you. Alright, so excuse these lights here. These are from the light bar behind me, and it's a little too bright, but we'll just have to work through it. So what I got laid out here, this is as if you're looking from it underneath the truck on the driver's side, the side view. So of course you have your fan right here in the very corner. You have your engine here. This is your flywheel, your transmission, obviously your gear shifter. This is your center support going from frame rail to frame rail, transfer case, and then this is the top view, which I'll explain in a little bit. So from my research on these Mazda 5 OD transmissions, and this is the R2 variant, there is a very common place where these things leak, and it's right on the top end of the transmission. So you have your shift forks here that shift the gears, and what I'm having right now is all of this case of the transmission is all greasy, all within the nooks and crannies, and it's just coated in grease. And right here, this little squiggly line is where it's leaking. Now, it could be one of two things. It could either be where this tail shaft bolts to the main body, that gasket is just leaking, or it's from these three small plugs. So the top view of this transmission, this is as if you have the access plate off, you've taken out the interior, and you're looking at it from above. This is the plate we're going to be removing. I think it's 4 or 5 bolts to take off, and this is where your shift forks mount. There's 3 bars that go through here that hold your shift forks. So there's obviously a gasket here too. So once we take that off, we'll be able to get to these plugs. Now they're rubber from the factory. Obviously rubber over time cracks, deteriorates, and so they start to leak. So when your gears are going around and around several thousand RPMs a minute, it's throwing fluid through these leaky seals, and then it'll bleed along the sides, making you think that that gasket at the tail shaft is leaking, when really these are the culprit. One of the first things I wanted to do on this project was to remove that really gross seat cover and those floor mats. I didn't get a very good look at the bench seat when I first bought the truck because this thing was in the way, and I was hoping that it was in fairly decent shape when I removed it. So after taking a couple minutes to get that thing off, and to be honest, it took quite a while because it was in every nook and cranny, on all the hooks and loops were pretty annoying to untie and untangle. But after a couple minutes, I finally was able to see the bench seat for the very first time. Now the seat cover's off, I didn't know just how bad this seat was ripped. That's kind of a bummer. But on the plus side, the compressor works. And the worst part of it all, removing that floor mat, this is ripped. That's pretty sad. I had no idea it was that bad. Man. In order to take out that bench seat, I had to remove 4 15mm bolts and 2 T50 bolts that held in those seat belts. So after using a breaker bar to break loose 1 bolt, I finally wised up and decided to use my impact gun. Until I tripped the breaker on the house and I had to go back to using a ratchet. was the hardest part. Once all the trim panels had been removed, it was time to take off those shift boots. Now, on camera, it may have looked quick and easy, but after all that dirt and rust had been crammed in those holes, it took a solid 30 minutes to get that four-wheel drive boot off. So, what I ended up having to do was break off one of those screws from underneath and hammer it out with a nail and punch. Since I'd never removed a gear shifter before, when it came time to remove the cross bolt holding that shifter in place, I was stumped. I didn't know you were supposed to take the same nut that you took off on the right hand side and start tightening the bolt on the left hand side to pull that bolt right out. So after messing with this thing for more than an hour, I finally got this bolt out, this cross bolt, so I can get the shifter out. And there it is. Okay, so the shifter should just come right out. And it does. Look at that. Time to remove this. Alright, finally got the interior completely stripped. A little bit of rust here in the corners, and there's just dirt packed in this channel, so everything's got to be deep cleaned, but I'm going to probably put some music over the vacuum noise. It's going to be pretty loud. But I'm finally glad I got it stripped after 2 days. There's a lot of bolts that just would not cooperate. So while I was vacuuming, I took away this weather stripping and I found all this rust in here along with the dirt. Big chunk of metal missing right there. The sound deadening material just chips away, but underneath it revealed more rust, and it's just terrible in these corners. Luckily, I think it'll just be fixed with a wire wheel and a little bit of paint. But there's this one little hole right there that needs to be welded in. The problem is I don't know how to weld, so now I could go the cheap way and just JB weld it, or I could grab my $100 Harbor Freight welder that I haven't even plugged in, grab a book for dummies on how to weld, and just tack weld that. underneath here where the door is, there's this little rust right here where it seams together. It's underneath this hole, which I probably can't show you, but trust me, it's good underneath the bottom side. So I just caught it. It's just starting to show through. A little bit of wire wheel and some undercoating rust reformer paint. You'll never even know. So this is what I was able to get after I got all that dirt out. I removed the hood latch release and got this wiring harness zip tied out of the way. So digging into it more, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. So I'll have to go over it in another video with a wire wheel and tack weld that in. But for now, I'm going to stay focused on getting this vacuumed, and I'm just going to speed through it here. I'll run out of light again. The last thing on the to-do list was remove the door panel. All I had to do was remove the T20 screw holding that window crank on and just a handful of screws, and it came right off. This door panel was hanging on by a thread, and all those plastic clips were nowhere to be found. Well, that's the interior. Everything's stripped out, ready to go, ready to be cleaned and worked on. There's some things on the door panel here that are chipped and cracked. I already JB welded a couple things here and those trim panels there. Just minor things that'll need to be cleaned. But next week's video is going to be tackling that transmission, taking care of the leaks that it has. But guys, thanks so much for watching Waddock Productions. Really does mean a lot. If you want to see some more great content, go down to the description below. There's 3 great channels that I can't recommend enough. And I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.